Happy New Year. Welcome back. Pleased to be joined with Vice Chair Ted Lieu in this 2024 session. Over the weekend, we marked the third anniversary of the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. I know every member of our caucus was thinking about the families and loved ones of the officers who lost their lives because of what happened that day. And President Biden's speech on Friday was an important reminder of what's at stake here in our country. Over the break, I was particularly troubled by a poll I saw from the Washington Post and University of Maryland, which said that 1/3 of Republican voters and 44% of Trump voters believe that the FBI organized and encouraged the attack. Nearly half of Trump voters believe in a provable lie. This is not an accident. The same forces that have cultivated this alternate reality where Donald Trump didn't orchestrate an attempt to overturn a free and fair election, where Mike Pence didn't come within 40 feet of losing his life to Trump supporters, they're the same people who control the Republican House agenda today. The man who was called an architect of a since repudiated legal strategy, which was the underpinning of the violence that day, is now Speaker of the House of Representatives. Marjorie Taylor Greene is dictating the floor agenda, and we waste time on baseless impeachment inquiries only days away from a government shutdown. The extremism is real, it is undeniable, and it is hurting our country. And I firmly believe that our democracy is at stake. Vice Chair Ted Lieu.
Thank you, Chairman Aguilar. Last term, when Democrats were in control, we put people over politics and passed a number of laws to move the American family forward. As a result, last year we had GDP growth exceeding expectations. We had unemployment rate at historic lows. We had a record number of jobs being created, and we had the stock market hitting record highs. What do we have with Republicans who are now in control? Well, I'll tell you. Instead of focusing on helping the American people, they're focusing on issues no one cares about, such as a contempt proceeding for Hunter Biden. I can guarantee you no American family during the holidays was sitting there thinking, hey, that Hunter Biden, he agreed to testify publicly in front of Congress, but he really should be doing a closed-door deposition. That's why we need to hold him in contempt. No American family was thinking about that at all, and now you have two hearings in Congress trying to hold him in contempt for issues no one cares about. I ask Republicans to focus on issues the American family care about. We are 9 days away from a government shutdown. That's what we should be focused on.
Questions?
Thank you. Happy New Year. Mr. Lieu just shared his thoughts on the Hunter surprise at the Oversight hearing, wondering what your reaction is. And on the government shutdown, the looming government shutdown, how concerned are you that Republicans will keep their word, given that they've shown, in previous negotiations that sometimes it's a little flimsy?
Well, I mean, the Fiscal Responsibility Act is the law of the land. There's an agreement on these top line numbers. The appropriators are going to do their work now to mark up to the numbers that are law on the spending side. We have made very clear that Democrats will not support Republican conservative writers that seek to unwind that process. And so we're going to make sure that we're standing up for women's reproductive freedom. We're going to make sure that we're standing up for our communities. And any attempts by the extreme voices within the Republican conference to upset that appropriations process will mean that Democrats can't engage. And we already know that Republicans can't pass these laws, can't pass these bills on their own, because they've demonstrated that time and time again. It was Democratic votes that avoided the debt limit, that created the FRA, and it was Democratic votes that passed every continuing resolution so far. It's just deeply troubling that the Republican conference doesn't understand this, that we need a strong bipartisan process within the Appropriations Committee to pass funding bills. With respect to Hunter Biden, I think the vice chair said it right. These are things, the only common denominator among the House Republican Conference is censures, impeachments, Merrick Garland, General Austin, Mayorkas. I mean, these are the things that bind the Republican conference together. It's the only thing that they have 218 votes for. So that's why they continue to go down this rabbit hole. Nothing they do in oversight related to Hunter Biden is going to create more jobs, is going to help our economy. In fact, the head of the Republican Party, Donald Trump, hopes that the economy crashes in the next 12 months so that President Biden is responsible for it, so it has political success. You would never hear a member of the House Democratic Caucus root for a tanking economy, ever, under any administration. But that's just who they are. Every day they tell us who they are. Vice Chair?
I just want to note that Hunter Biden showed up today on Capitol Hill, ready, willing, able to testify, and the Republicans rejected him coming to testify in front of the American people. So why are Republicans hiding his testimony from the American people? Why are they even doing this contempt hearing when Hunter Biden is ready and willing to testify right now on national television under oath in front of Congress?
Questions? Nick?
I want to ask about the defense secretary. Have you heard anything from him or the White House since you broke about his hospitalization? And do you think there should be a thorough investigation into what happened?
I think the administration has already said that they're going to look into the timeline of Secretary Austin's notifications. I think that clearly there is an opportunity to do better when it comes to the notification side of what went on. We wish the House Democratic Caucus wishes Secretary Austin well in his recovery, but clearly there are some things that could have been done better. We hope that they, acknowledge that, and we're willing to move forward. But I have not personally heard from him, and I'm not aware of members who have had conversations with him to this point.
In terms of funding the government, is 9 days enough, or do you all think we need a continuing resolution?
Look, I think that I don't think that it's enough time because we still don't have that top line number that we call it for each of the agencies. That's being negotiated right now by our appropriators. So I think that we are going to need more time. But this is where we need Republicans to get on the same page. I mean, Speaker Johnson has said no more CRs is what he publicly declared. You have Senator Thune and Senator McConnell saying that they do want a CR. You have the House Republicans wanting to impeach Mayorkas. And then you have Senate Republicans engaging in good faith negotiations with Secretary Mayorkas on significant policy changes. So, we just don't know what is going on here between Republicans on Capitol Hill. It seems that they just need to, maybe we should put them all in a room so they can work this out. But there's just a variety of opinion on their side of the aisle as to where we go forward. Mike?
Speaker Johnson was on Hugh Hewitt this morning, and he said that as a condition of any new Ukraine funding, that Republicans would demand 900 miles fully funded of new border wall. Is that, what's your reaction to that? Is that a non-starter, or is there room for some wall construction, new wall construction at the border if you get Ukraine funding out of it?
Look, Democrats, time and time again, have come to the table to avoid debt ceilings, have avoided shutdowns, have funded the Department of Homeland Security, have invested in resources for primary barriers as well as secondary barriers down at the border. Those were part of 2019 negotiations that we have had in the past. We believe in the rule of law, and we believe in having secure borders. We want to make sure that we actually implement policy that does that. And that's why we have funded those agencies, and that's why we continue to fund those agencies. Through the National Security Supplemental, President Biden and House Democrats support more resources for Customs and Border Patrol so we can make sure that we are putting adequate resources into those agencies. It's House Republicans that have continued to move the hurdles and and put up new demands. Look, again, this is another example where Republicans just need to get on the same page. Senate Republicans are putting things on the table, and they're having negotiations with their counterparts in the Senate and with the administration. And now you have Speaker Johnson at the 11th hour making new demands within that. So this just seems to be a case where Republicans just aren't on the same page.
But that doesn't sound like a no from you. It sounds like there is some room, some space there for some compromise on new physical borders at physical structures.
Within the Department of Homeland Security budget, there is always a line item for barriers and construction. We disagree about that, and fundamentally, House Democrats don't believe that adding 900 miles of border wall is going to solve it. If you build a 12-foot wall, there's always going to be a 14-foot ladder. So let's have a real solution to this, and we're willing to engage and have discussions about this, but we want to make sure that it meets with our values and that we're funding the right priorities. And time again, House Republicans don't want to fund priorities that will actually solve the issue.
Tax question on the R&D tax proposal with the child tax credit. I know that Senate, House working on it seems to be coming together. But last night, Chairwoman Rosa DeLauro said that she had some concerns that the child tax credit funding was too low. I just wanted to sort of get your sense. I mean, is this something that Democratic leadership is on board with finding a way forward for? Or do you guys think that unless you get something that's equivalent to what was there during the pandemic, it's not worth doing an agreement like this?
Well, let's see what the details are. But fundamentally, we believe in tax fairness, and we also believe in the child tax credit. We believe that lifting families out of poverty is a worthy policy goal, and we believe that the policy that we implemented in 2021 did just that. And the metrics are incredibly clear on that. That 40% of families were lifted out of poverty from the child tax credit. Those are the facts, and we hold up Rosa DeLauro is a champion of this. That tax credit wouldn't have existed without her leadership, and so we're going to listen to what she has to say about this. But right now, this is a negotiation and a discussion between Republicans in the House and Democrats in the Senate. As soon as we have more details and as soon as more members are read into the details, we'll have a discussion as to what we think is reasonable and what the appropriate levels are. But Rosa DeLauro's voice will absolutely be at the table for House Democrats when it comes to this topic, as well as Richie Neal and Ways and Means Democrats.
Sure. The child tax credit, when it was implemented, helped reduce poverty and it helped grow the middle class, so it is a huge priority for House Democrats. I also note that the R&D tax credit is an important tax credit because generally when it's used, that jobs have been created. That's really how much of it is being used, and America continues to lead in R&D and in innovation. It's something that our country needs to continue to invest in and to remain strong. And so I think these are worthy priorities.
Other questions? Thank you so much. Have a good day.